Your existence is undeniable. Even before you consider what you are, what you exist as, you know that you exist. You're aware of your beingness. That is something you can't refute. And it's not a thing. It's immeasurable, doesn't have a location, isn't subject to any condition. Yet it can hold every condition. It can hold every qualification, every characterization. So it's a sort of container, an infinite container. And anything held can only be born of that original I. So you know that you exist. That recognition is very simple. It's very basic because it is the basis. It must be there for any experience. And you know it so well. You've never not known that you are. Your presence, you're experiencing. So that I am, in a way, seeks identity because it's the catalyst. It's literally the catalyst for manifestation.
Yeah, you know that I am, that you are, that you exist. Beyond words, beyond ideas, beyond thoughts, beyond any description or concepts. Once you've gripped onto an idea and you've taken yourself to be a human and not this presence, you're into the story mode, and that's what causes the suffering. But if you see clearly what you are, that you are this experiencing fact, that you are this presence, then every thought, every feeling, every form is like a meditation bell that reminds you that you exist, that you are as I am, not as some object within a sea of other objects. It reminds you of who you really are, that you are what gives life to absolutely everything. This all-powerful presence, this amazing creative force of reality, that power that creates universes. By staying with that, you're staying with the fact that you exist, rather than focusing exclusively on the stories, and everything becomes clearer. You go, there's nothing but the field of my experience. And whatever appears within that experience is that same principle, that God fact. And I'm in total home there.
You're listening to the Nonduality podcast. This is Nic Higham from nisargayoga.com. And here with me is Paul Dobson. So you could say that I amness is the immeasurable context, the foundation. We could also call it experiencing. Where there is experiencing, there is experience. Where there is context, there is content. Without content, there's no self-reflective capacity. And I is the original, eternal, and bounded one self. So I is the self, and I am is the self-reflecting. With reflection, there's this awakening, I exist. And with this I exist, there's the subtle hint of duality. And with that subtle hint of duality, this entire manifestation is born. And with that creative blossoming, there's seemingly getting lost in your creation, in your refractive reflection, and then an exploration of that creation and a focusing on aspects of that creation. And when there's exclusive focus on an aspect, there's an apparent loss of the entirety, forgetting of the entirety. And with that singular focus, identity is constructed, and fear and desire kick in, because with that exclusive focus on a fragment of your creation, there is a desire to remember the truth of what you are. And with that fundamental desire to remember, there's this adventure of being, of attempting to find yourself in so many ways. I am this, I am this, I am that, I am that. And that's what we call identity. And with that desire also comes fear. If I'm limited to this fragment of creation, then that's a state of deficiency. It's a state of vulnerability. How do I build myself up? How do I bolster myself? Because this is all I am. I'm limited. And in this exploration of the outpouring, creative blossoming of that original I, you seem to forget home. All of this unfolds within home, within I. All of this. In essence, spirituality is about going back, you could say, to the source. And then when you come to the source, you realize that all of this is the source. It's what I am. I am all of this.
There's a very simple fact here, and that is what you are experiencing right now. You are, or just I. You don't even have to say I am, you just I. Everyone knows I. You don't need to be engaged in spiritual matters of any kind to know I am. That you know. The God principle, the I, we'll just call it I, we don't even need to call it God, but the I principle isn't in duality. There is no separation there. There's only separation and duality when there's the thoughts appear. So then it kind of bursts outwards, and here we've got this situation where you think you're something other than that. And that's a very interesting situation. This is how God becomes a human being. Right now, it's through nothing more than beliefs, conditioning, clouded with what we identify that with. It's always I am, fill in the blank. And then once you've got that ... that I am power, the absolute power of that presence, that creative force, just immediately will identify with the next thing you fill in the blank with. Not as a mistake, but it's just what it does. It just goes straight to that next identity, unconditionally. And as is usually said, then the 10,000 things come into existence, along with the potential to suffer within that, because you are then a person within all of this stuff that can be hurt, that can be seen as lacking in some way, that can have problems, somehow unsafe or unworthy or in danger. But the second the human, quote unquote, looks back and goes, wait, what is looking through my eyes right now? How am I aware? Wait a minute. How am I aware? I've never even asked this question. I'm aware. I've been so focused on the stuff that's going on and these thoughts that I'm so attracted to and getting to the next thing. But I've never looked at this aware principle that seems to be happening. Like, how do I know anything? I am, and I know that I am. And then from there, you start seeing, wait a minute, this thing's always here. When you're knowingly as experience, as I am, as God, this amazing presence that we are, this infinite being, all of the stuff that's false slips away because it doesn't have there's no grip there. You're untangling yourself, disentangling yourself. Anything that's not true can't remain because its life force is taken away from it, because you're kind of redirecting them back towards their source. If you know that I exist and stay with that, then you are gradually just kind of cleaning the lens on your experience. It's so tempting to take some thought that you exist or looking at the body as some proof that you exist, but not realizing what's seeing the thought, what's seeing the body. The thought that says I am might, at best, redirect back to what is knowing the thought, or the source of the thought. But the thought itself is not I am. once you see clearly what you are, that you are this experiencing fact, that you are this presence, then every thought, every feeling, every form is like a meditation bell that reminds you that you exist, that you are as I am, not as some object within a sea of other objects. It reminds you of who you really are. You know, you are what gives life to absolutely everything.
Yeah. We don't mean to say that you exist as a body. That's not essential to what you are. That story is put on top. So we need not go into that story. We need not follow that story, but only follow what is essential. And that is you are. You don't need to go into what you exist as, the origin of your existence. Will you ever find in objective experience the origin of your existence? No, you won't find it, but you know that you are. So go there. You don't believe that you are. Effortlessly, you know beyond the mind, not the intellectual knowing, that you are. As you say, the more you stay with that I amness prior to any concepts, any qualification, the more you realize that anything that is put on top of that can't be essential to what you are. If you go, so to speak, in the direction of I am, and you trace every identity back to its source, you then are knowingly. You become conscious of that consciousness, and you recognize yourself as being established there, stabilized there. Always, you can't not be. And that's where the clarity is. In abiding as I am, that's where the clarity is. That's where all the qualities of being are recognized. When you intuit that you are, when you have a sense that you exist, you are literally sensing, recognizing the absolute entirety of this boundless, eternal reality. And that natural state is always present. It can't not be present. So you can't move away from it, and you can't get closer to it. You can't lose it, and you can't find it. You can say, I am. You can focus on the I am in meditation. You can chant, I am. But none of that is needed. None of that is required to be. You are always, even if you are seemingly lost in a cloud of confusion and suffering, you always are. So basically, there's nothing you need to do to return home. That I am is home. There's this miracle of being conscious of this consciousness, of being knowingly. That's a miracle. It's a miracle. I am. I am. It could be said that without any qualification, you can't know that you are. In pure I am, there's no recognition.
Yeah. You're not reflecting back on it. There's no reflection, self-reflection.
Exactly. Perfectly put. There's no capacity of reflection because there's no duality. See, being conscious of consciousness, that implies two, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Very subtle. Very, very subtle.
Exactly.
It's like the I is the absolute, infinite, eternal reality. And then the am is when God recognizes God. And then at that point, there seems to be duality. When there's that recognition that I am, that's the catalyst for all of this manifestation. Duality is created. And then you get lost in that fragmented state. And you can seem to identify with certain fragments, desire certain fragments, fear the others. And that creates what we call the ego.
Yeah. If you're having a dream at night and you take yourself to be the dream body, anything goes. So the same thing happens in the apparent waking state, the world being a reflection of what you're taking yourself to be. But what is always the case, I mean always, things can come in and out of being the case and seem to be the case, and they waft in and out, like ideas and stories, and you can hold different paradigms, different sort of frameworks of what things are and how they work. You can change that on a daily basis, a moment-to-moment basis. You might read something or hear something, and suddenly your view of reality changes. So those are always changing. But what's really true, and I mean beyond even any sense of existing as anything that could be individual in any way, what's really true, that's what's true. What appears to be happening here is that knowing itself, that having the ability for self-reflection through these manifestations of that ultimate positivity, that that just unbearable, ecstatic love field. Obviously not these words, just way beyond any quality we can put on it, but it's just bursting out as all of this. And that never went anywhere, though. The main point I want to make is that never went anywhere. That I is the I that you are. And that's kind of the advantage we have. There is a core fact that is always true, that is there regardless of the in and out of the dream stuff. The fundamental fact is completely saturating all of experience. It's not like it's missing somewhere. All of experience is it, so, but it's not limited to any particular expression of it. That's the main clarification. There's not two things there. It's appearing as all of it. It's to say at one with is even saying too much. You totally are all of it at the same time. This awareness, the sentience that I am, is always here, and the other stuff comes and goes. Eventually, you look at absolutely anything, and there's nothing but that. You go, there's nothing but the field of my experience. And whatever appears within that experience is that same principle, that God fact. And I'm in total home there. All is I am. It mirrors back to you the truth. You look over there, and that's I am. You look at the tree over there, that's I am. And it's not a tree, it's I am. That I am presence, the presence of experience is unconditional. It loves it all equally. It sees it all as a ride. It's all an adventure.
Exactly. If you know that any experience is only made of you, any qualification, any mode of experiencing, all of creation, no matter what is created, is only in home and made of home, that the content and the context are one. Job done. Leave it there. Just enjoy your dream. And if that isn't clear by now, that you find yourself fighting content, fighting experience, avoiding any of that, and seeking certain experiences, certain content, well, that's only going to reinforce that sense of limitation. I am limited. I am a body. I am this. I am that. That's a state of limitation. And that limitation gives rise to desire and fear. So following desire and fear leads only back to limitation. It doesn't go anywhere else. Because you feel you are limited, because the I am has become qualified, you're absolutely convinced by that story. You seek. You go after what you feel will complete you as that fragment of focus. In truth, there is only one desire, no matter what that desire is the desire of home. So rather than going after what you desire, thinking it will complete you, realize that you are not limited, and therefore you don't need to desire. That if you're not limited, then you can only be the home you seek, your true nature. You forget that you're always home, that you're always already complete. You're never truly ignorant, because you never truly forget home. You never truly forget that you are, and therefore you never truly forget that original state of self-reflection in its purest essence.